this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Amazon Health AI presents Painful Thoughts.
I can't stop scratching my downtown. Yeah, but I'm not itching to go downtown and tell a receptionist I'm here to talk about my downtown. Some things you'd rather type than say out loud.
There's no question too embarrassing for Amazon Health AI. Chat your symptoms and get virtual care 24/7. Healthcare just got less painful.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. And if you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget. From luxury cars to family rides, CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So, hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
This is Martha Stewart from the Martha Stewart Podcast. Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. Getting ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter beforehand so the paper grips and stays in place. Then lay down the Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper so drips and spills stay on the paper, not all over your kitchen counter. You can roll out dough, prep a party spread, or cook alongside family. When you're done, cleanup is as simple as lifting the paper and revealing that clean counter underneath. Effortless. You can use it for cooking and baking prep and even crafting, especially when you need extra working space. Because when the mess is already handled, you can focus on what matters: the food, the people, and the moment. It may look effortless, but now you know it's Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Take a tip from me: wet it, set it, prep it, done. Make it easy. Make it with Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Available now in the Reynolds Wrap aisle in Walmart, Target, Amazon, and Costco.
Because Bass wants to put the Tooth Fairy on city payroll.
Also on homelessness, at the pantry earlier this week, you were talking about comprehensive health care for the unhoused. And you talked about how many of the unhoused, because of their meth use, lose their teeth.
That's right.
Who would pay for the dental care for the unhoused?
When I say comprehensive health care, it's actually what people can get from Medi-Cal.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Tuesday morning. Nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update. You may have thought the Cold War was over when it deals with Cuba, but when it comes to the Western Hemisphere, we may be all wrong. In fact, there's now major concerns in Cuba of a massive buildup of drones from Iran and even Russia. So what could they do with these drones? And could they be used to attack the United States of America? There's a lot on this issue, and I'm going to give it all to you. But first, let me tell you real quick about Patriot Mobile, a company that's fighting for what we believe in, and you switching your cell phone provider could have a major impact on helping conservatives fight like never before. America is entering the 250th year, and the direction of this country is being decided right now in our culture and our economy. And who we choose to support matters more than ever. Most wireless companies don't care who you are or what you believe. They just want your money. Patriot Mobile, they're different. For more than 12 years, they've stood with Americans who believe freedom is worth defending, funding the Christian conservative movement when others stay silent. That's what they do. So here's the deal. You don't have to give up quality or service when you switch to Patriot Mobile. They deliver premium priority access on all 3 major U.S. networks. So you'll get the same or better coverage than you have today. Think switching is a hassle? It isn't anymore in 2026. You keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. And their 100% U.S.-based support team can activate you in minutes. Still paying off a device? Patriot Mobile even offers a contract buyout. This is a defining year. We must work together to save our country. So go to patriotmobile.com/Ben47 or call 972-PATRIOT. And if you use the promo code Ben47, you'll get a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Ben47 or 972-PATRIOT and switch today. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number 1.
I want to start out by talking about what is happening in Cuba. We know that the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, went down to Cuba and met with top leaders, including some of those connected directly with the Castro family leadership. And for decades, Americans have also been told the Cold War is over, that the threats, sitting just 90 miles off the coast of Florida, were relics of another era. Not now, right? That was back in the day. Well, there's growing real concern now inside the intelligence and military circles that Cuba is once again becoming a staging ground for America's adversaries. And this time the concern is not Soviet nuclear missiles, it's drones. A lot of them. Iranian drones and Russian drones, and the possibility that hostile regimes are quietly building a launch platform with striking distance of the United States of America. 90 miles for a drone is nothing. And let's be clear, they can also fly very low. You could describe it as under the radar. Now, there's no clear public evidence that Cuba has launched any attacks on the United States of America, or that an imminent strike is about to happen or even underway. But what is raising alarm bells is the increasing military cooperation that we have seen between Cuba, Iran, and Russia, and even China. Now, you think about the 3 countries that hate the United States the most. Iran chants death to America. Russia, we know, hates America. And China, yes, they hate America. All of these nations openly talk about their hostility to American power and American influence. And if you think this sounds far-fetched, remember history. Back in 1962, you basically had the same type of leadership in Cuba. And the Cuban Missile Crisis brought America literally to the brink of nuclear war between the Soviet Union and the United States of America, because Soviet weapons were placed on that island. Today, the weapons are much smaller, they're a lot cheaper, and they're harder to detect, and they're even easier to get into a country. Modern drones have changed warfare entirely. We've witnessed this on the battlefield in the Middle East, and especially between Ukraine and the Russia war. Iran has become one of the world's leading exporters of expensive but deadly drone technology. The Iranian drones, for example, have been used extensively by the Russians in Ukraine. That's how good they are. And these drones are relatively cheap to produce. They're difficult to intercept in large swarms, and they're capable of carrying large explosives over long distances. Russia has used them to terrorize civilian infrastructure, to attack power grids, and overwhelm the air defenses in Ukraine. Now imagine that type of technology positioned in Cuba. Imagine dozens or hundreds and hundreds of drones stored in warehouses, hidden in shipping containers, or assembled in covert facilities just miles from the United States of America's homeland. Suddenly, this changes everything from a military standpoint. Now, experts warn that drones don't need massive runways or obvious missile silos. They can be launched from trucks, they can be launched from fields, they can be launched from cargo ships, or improvised sites that you never detected beforehand. And a coordinated swarm attack targets ports. It can target military bases. It can target our fuel depots, our airports, or even civilian infrastructure that could create chaos for Americans. It could also attack our power grid. And that's exactly why intelligence officials in the U.S. are increasingly focused on this type of warfare. America's enemies know they cannot defeat the U.S. military head-to-head. So instead, what they've all decided to do is look for ways to exploit our vulnerabilities, create fear, disrupt our economy, and undermine public confidence. And drones fit that strategy perfectly. Now, over the past several years, Cuba has dramatically deepened its ties not only with Russia. There's also another very interesting data point. Over the last several years, Cuba has dramatically deepened their ties with Moscow and Tehran. Russian naval vessels have visited Cuba ports multiple times. Cuban officials have met openly with Iranian leadership. Economic agreements have been agreed to and signed. They've even signed intelligence cooperation, and they've signed military coordination that have all expanded as these countries align themselves against the United States of America. Now, Iran, meanwhile, has aggressively expanded its influence throughout Latin America. U.S. officials have repeatedly and openly warned that Iranian networks have been operating in Venezuela. They're operating in Nicaragua and other parts of the region. Hezbollah-linked operatives have reportedly used parts of Latin America for fundraising, as well as logistics and illicit finance operations for decades. Add drone technology into this equation, and suddenly the Western Hemisphere starts looking a lot more dangerous. And that brings us to Donald Trump's whole promise to make sure that the Western Hemisphere is safe. And there's another layer, by the way, to this story that you need to understand as well. That's the border crisis. For years, critics have warned that an unsecured southern border creates vulnerabilities far beyond illegal immigration. If hostile foreign actors wanted to move equipment, operatives, electronics, or drone components into the United States of America, an overwhelmed border system provided that opportunity. You now combine those concerns of millions of people who we don't know who they are that are in this country right now with adversarial regimes operating close to the U.S. mainland who could even stage an attack that is coordinated from people within the United States of America. Imagine what that could look like. Military analysts have increasingly warned about what's known as gray zone warfare. That's actions deliberately designed to stay below the threshold of open war while still damaging an enemy. Cyber attacks, infrastructure sabotage, drone incursions, GPS interference, disinformation campaigns, as well as economic disruption, all on the table. In fact, many of them have been used on the United States of America by China and Russia. Now, this is what has been described to me as the battlefield of the future. And America's enemies are watching this carefully. Russia has already demonstrated how effective drone warfare can be in Ukraine. They've actually really learned a lot and mastered the art. Iran has shown how proxy groups armed with drones can threaten U.S. troops and allies across the Middle East. China is also rapidly expanding its own drone and AI warfare capabilities. The terrifying reality is that a drone doesn't need to carry a massive explosive payload to cause major disruption. A strike on an electrical substation, fuel pipeline, shipping port, or crowded transportation hub could create panic as well as economic shockwaves, which is exactly what Cuba, Russia, and China and Iran would love to happen. So think about what happens when small drones disrupt airports in Europe several years ago. All the flights were grounded. The security systems were overwhelmed. Now, you do that type of coordinated attack using military-grade systems, and it's on a whole nother level. Now, this is why national security experts are now increasingly calling for stronger homeland defense systems, specifically focused on drone threats. It's something the president has also agreed we need. Many American military bases are still vulnerable to low-flying drones. Ports and civilian infrastructure often lack sophisticated counter-drone systems. and local law enforcement agencies are largely unprepared for mass drone instances as well. Now, the Pentagon has spent billions preparing for traditional warfare, but the next threat may not come from bombers or missiles, but from swarms of inexpensive unmanned aircraft launched very close to home. And Cuba's geographic position matters enormously. From Havana to Key West, it's roughly 90 miles. That's it. A relatively short flight for modern drone systems. Again, this is all about looking at what could happen before it happens, because history teaches us something important. Major threats are often ignored until it's too late. Before 9/11, warnings existed. Before Pearl Harbor, there were warning signs as well. Before the Cuban Missile Crisis exploded into public view, Soviet activity was already well underway. And in the modern era, the speed of warfare has accelerated dramatically. A drone swarm launch from close proximity could give decision makers only minutes to react. And that is why the American public should be aware of this. We shouldn't panic, but we should absolutely pay attention to the growing military cooperation between Cuba, Iran, and Russia. And the president clearly is demanding stronger border security, serious homeland security defense investments, and aggressive intelligence monitoring. Now, the real question is, if there is a large stockpile of drones in Cuba, is it America's job to make sure that we make those inoperable? I wouldn't be surprised if that's on the table right now. And it's something we should all be taking a look at and make sure we understand this is clearly an important moment that should be on everyone's radar screen.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson Podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
This is Martha Stewart from the Martha Stewart Podcast. Ever wonder how to make hosting look effortless? Here's a secret. When prepping for cooking and baking, get ahead of the mess with new Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Just lightly wet the counter so the paper grips. Lay it down, and drips and spills stay on the paper, not on your counter. Cleanup is as simple as lifting it away to reveal clean counters. Effortless? It is, thanks to Reynolds Kitchens countertop prep paper. Wet it, set it, prep it, done. Available in the Reynolds Wrap aisle at Walmart, Target, Amazon, and Costco.
This is Sophia Donner from OK Storytime. This summer, find your next obsession on Prime Video. And listen, we're not saying you need another obsession, but there could be a lot worse ones. Steamy romance, addictive love stories, and the book-to-screen favorites you've already read twice, so why not watch them a third time? Off Campus, Elle, The Love Hypothesis, and more. Slow burns, second chances, chemistry you can feel through the screen, and it makes you wish you were actually in that movie. We've got binge-worthy series, can't-miss movies, perfect for when you're ignoring your own problems or procrastinating, as one does. Your next obsession is waiting. Watch only on Prime.
From sauce to dust to nuggets, Diablo dusted crispy chicken nuggets. No, they don't come in mild. That would make like 0 sense with the name. New Diablo dusted crispy chicken nuggets. Only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time and while supplies last.
Wasn't that delicious? So good.
Your bill, ladies?
I got it. No,
I got it.
Seriously, I insist. I insisted first. Oh, don't be silly. You don't be silly.
People with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card prefer to pay because they earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors for it. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
The Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.